Hi there, it's Hugh Morgan. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Quick Intelligence, and today we have another QI technical briefing. With me, I have Alan Kennedy of DataStealth. Alan, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely, thank you, Hugh. My name's Alan Kennedy. I'm the Director of Channel Sales at DataStealth. I've been in the IT industry for 20 plus years now, and my current focus is around data privacy and protection. DataStealth is an organization based out of Mississauga, large focus on innovation, and again, really focused around helping our customers meet their data privacy, data protection, compliance, and regulatory requirements.
Fantastic, thank you. So my first question talks about use cases. What is your product for? What does it do?
With the focus around data privacy and protection, there are some common acronyms that fit into that space. We were purpose-built for PCI, payment card information. So customers that have a requirement around PCI audits, PCI compliance, handling sensitive information related to customer financials, we're a great fit in that space. You might be aware that May 25th, 2018, a new regulation came into effect, the GDPR, that's the General Data Protection Regulation based in Europe. And that really is focusing around individuals maintaining control of their own personal information. And so that has companies really focused now, again, around data privacy and protection.
Fantastic. Is that PCI's one use case? Are there any others?
Any customer that is dealing with sensitive customer information, think of anything around personally identifiable information, or PII, or in the healthcare space, we're a really good fit for private health information, also known as PHI. The fourth area where we tend to play extremely well, more and more regions, countries, states, provinces are getting focused around data residency, ensuring that information generated within the region doesn't leave the region. So data residency tends to be another really common use case for us.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit how the product works, because I think that's really where the difference lies.
The company is DataStealth. The actual product is DataStealth. Think of us as a network appliance. Put us in a line of traffic. In real time, on the fly, we identify sensitive information within the line of traffic. We remove it, we secure that real and sensitive information, and then we replace it with what we call a smart substitute, or we obfuscate that information so that what lands at the destination is actually potentially tokenized, de-identified, or encrypted information, so that the private information is actually under protection.
So that differentiates you from a lot of people that secure the perimeter. So you're actually assuming that somebody can breach the perimeter, but once they get in, they're not going to find anything because basically you've removed all the sensitive information from the network.
That's exactly right. We would never suggest that customers now proceed with perimeter protection or solutions around identity and access management or threat identification and response. Those are all have a really good place within an enterprise. But the next layer of protection really is protecting the sensitive information within the environment. So whether it's in the case of an external breach or things happening internally with people accessing information they shouldn't have access to, that's where DataStealth fits extremely well.
So let's talk a little bit about the PCI use case then. So the way my understanding works then, that you would actually intercept the data. So if I ask for a credit card and I'm storing it and then forwarding it on to a gateway, for example, you would intercept that, you would tokenize it so that it would be stored in the database as a token, no actual financial information in there at all. The whole financial infrastructure would be PCI compliant, and then on the way out to the gateway, you would take the token and resubstitute the credit card number and pass it on out to the gateway provider. Is that kind of the way it works?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Hugh. It sounds like you're a subject matter expert in this space.
Just trying to reverse engineer it a little bit.
So the one thing I will clarify is we definitely reduce PCI audit scope for our customers because we ourselves are PCI service provider level 1 certified. We can actually reduce a customer's PCI audit scope on an annual basis by up to 95%. There are still some small sections that a customer would be responsible for, but they can definitely see a tremendous ROI, and our existing customers that are leveraging us in the PCI space.
So let's talk a couple of things. First of all, how do you configure your system and how long does it take to get up and running?
Yeah, it's quite easy to configure compared to other solutions in the marketplace that perhaps do a similar function. So what's at the heart of DataStealth is essentially a data protection policy. And that's just simply understanding the traffic flow within an environment, what is deemed as sensitive information, and who should actually have access to the real information. So the nice thing is, once you actually configure a data protection policy on DataStealth, it really requires very little in the way of ongoing maintenance. It's almost a set it and forget it, unless there's a substantial change to the business process. So it's really easy to implement. It has a light footprint in the way of ongoing operations. And the one example I always like to use is we've got a customer in the healthcare space, and from our first meeting with them, where they were facing potential PCI fines, to a production deployment of DataStealth was actually less than 2 weeks. So we are actually quite nimble, and we can typically move as fast or faster than our customers.
Well, that's quite remarkable. So a couple of use cases, though, that really I was quite fascinated with, and one was test data. How does that work? And how many customers do you have that are cleansing test data?
Yeah, most, if not all of our customers are leveraging us for the test data management use case, is how we refer to it. So quite simply, thinking of it with regards to logical data flow, you've got a production database and you want to send that to a development environment. So your development team, your analytics team, perhaps you have a data lake environment. You want it to look and behave like production data without actually having any sensitive information there. Simply put, DataStealth in the line of traffic between the production environment and the development environment. What lands on the other side looks and behaves like production data, but there's not actually any sensitive information there. So many of our customers use us for multiple use cases, and one of the most common, aside from PCI, is definitely test data management.
And the other one that really fascinated me was unstructured data. So how does that work, for example, in an email environment?
Yeah, the interesting thing with DataStealth is we can protect, we like to say, everything everywhere. So whether it's structured data, unstructured data, on-premise, in the cloud, that can include data, documents, image files. The example that you gave was around an email environment, and let's say it's an exchange environment. Put DataStealth in front of that, have us scan all of the email messages that come in, and if there's a credit card anywhere in one of those email messages, whether it's in the body, an attached document such as a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, or even in a zip file or an image file, DataStealth can actually find and remove that sensitive information so that it doesn't land in the destination environment.
Great. And you mentioned the cloud. So how does DataStealth play in the cloud environment?
If you put DataStealth at the perimeter of an enterprise, as sensitive information leaves to a cloud environment, such as whether it's a Salesforce or a Dropbox, we'll identify that sensitive information in real time on the fly, and we'll replace it, typically tokenize it, so that what lands in the destination is not actually the sensitive information. So that helps our customers meet their data privacy, potentially regulatory requirements, as well as data residency.
Great. So I think that covers most of the use cases, but one of my key questions is how does your product get differentiated in the market? What's so different about yours compared to the zillions of other security products on the market?
With regards to differentiators, what makes us pretty unique, and I think I mentioned earlier, is we're a plug-and-play solution. So once you configure our data protection policy, it's almost a set it and forget it. There's no changes required to existing architecture within enterprise. There's no application integration or development required. We can deploy as a physical appliance, a virtual one, or customers can leverage our cloud as a service. And above and beyond all of that, there's no software to install or manage within our appliance or our platform, as well as no database. So those things really tend to make us very different than what I would consider other data obfuscation solutions that are out there in the marketplace today.
That's fantastic. Well, it's certainly a Canadian success story. So the next question would be, what are you working on now? What's next?
Yeah, we continue to grow. We're growing from a business standpoint. We're growing from a people standpoint. So as of actually a couple of days ago, we hired a new sales coordinator. Brooke McAdam has joined the team. Really excited to have her join Team Datex and help us out from a sales standpoint on an ongoing basis. Interestingly enough, we're actually partnered with Quick Intelligence on an upcoming conference that's taking place next Monday and Tuesday, April 22nd, 23rd. We're actually at FinTech South down in Atlanta. That area is known as Credit Card Corridor. I think they process about 3/4 of the global credit card transactions. We obviously fit very well in that space. Quick Intelligence is a strategic partner of ours. It was just a natural fit. So that's just around the corner. And then another great collaboration opportunity, we're actually an HPE global OEM partner. We'll be at HPE Discover in the OEM hub for the third time. And Quick Intelligence is going to be there with us. So
Fantastic.
we're really looking forward to the continued engagement and opportunities that represents.
Great. Well, thanks, Alan. Maybe just to sum up, what's your elevator pitch? What's the value proposition in a nutshell?
The one-liner I like to use, and this typically resonates when you're talking to C-level executives within a customer organization, is we like to say that DataStealth is the difference between thinking your business is secure and knowing it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much to Alan Kennedy for a great introduction to DataStealth. If you need any information, please feel free to drop me a line. It's hmorgan@quickintel.com.